Well, awesome. We have about an hour, and this is going to be one of the best hours you've ever spent with me, Sim.
One of the hours of my life, right?
Yes, I know. I know. So, everyone that's joining, hello. My name is Linda, and I'm with the house that Rob built. Sim is there. I'm going to introduce her in a little bit, but I wanted to just let you guys know what we're talking about today, which is important in the world of sports. It's the pioneers and the trailblazers for women's basketball. So I don't know if people on here play basketball or they are playing basketball or any sport or have a daughter or a son playing sports, but there was somebody that came before them that led them to love it. And so that's what we're going to talk about today because Montana in general have had some incredible athletes that have played all sports, but pertaining to the house that Rob built, which is everybody listening is a movie that's coming out February 23rd about Robin Selvig, who was a pioneer in moving women's basketball forward in Montana, but also the incredible story about him recruiting players from Montana, from small towns, Indian reservations, just ranches. He could recruit and build this team that was super successful. And so the house that Rob built, that's coming out on February 23rd, digital and to be able to stream. So we'll talk more about that, but I wanted you guys to meet Sim. She's a teammate. I was lucky enough, which is really cool with this chat, is that she's a teammate of mine. I got to play with her for 2 years for the Lady Grizz. And so this is a really cool thing for me because being a teammate, but also then watching the house that Rob built and watching you on the film, you're inspiring to me even after all these years. So it's really neat. So, but Sim is from Browning, Montana. She led her high school basketball team to their first ever state championship, which was not that far ago, Sim, a little bit.
A little while ago.
You guys, and she's a Hall of Famer. She is in the Montana Indian Hall of Fame. So the Athletic Hall of Fame, which is amazing, along with your dad, right?
Mm.
Yeah. So I'm talking to a Hall of Famer. I'm pretty lucky. She's also a member of the Blackfoot tribe, which we get to talk about, and I'm really excited. And then she's a Division I athlete. She played basketball for the University of Montana Lady Grizz. So everyone here say hi to Sim. And Sim, thank you. I'm so glad. This is great. It's watching the film, and you guys can watch it on February 23rd, but we got a chance to watch it when it debuted for the Big Sky Film Fest. So there's just a lot of things with you and interviewing with throughout that film that really impacted me, and I'm sure people watching as well. But I wanted to kind of let everybody on here who maybe isn't from a small town, but kind of talk a little bit about growing up in Browning, Montana. What was it like?
Um, so it was East Glacier.
Well, explain East Glacier to people. What's
Um,
it like in East? I mean, I know because I'm from Montana, but
yeah, yeah. So Browning's about 12 miles away, and East Glacier is real small, really small, about 500 people. Um,
yeah.
just a lot of nothing. A whole lot of nothing around here. I mean, it's beautiful. Oh, we have gorgeous mountains. We're right by the park, but growing up here, it was really quiet. No social media yet. Um, phones. Um, a lot of quiet time. A lot of playing outside.
Mm-hmm.
A lot and that's when the court came in. Like we had a basketball court. We grew up right next to the basketball court, like right next to the school. So that was a great thing. We were always on the court growing up, and it's one of the only things we had to do, other than playing in our yard or just very, very simple, very quiet.
And the community, I mean, you grew up next to a basketball court, but the people before you, like your parents, I mean, your dad's in the Hall of Fame, was that something that you saw immediately? Like, how soon did basketball start becoming important to you? And who created that for you?
My dad, for sure. It was all about my dad. He, I mean, I was used to him always playing. He was always in tournaments and stuff when I was growing up. We didn't go watch him because my mom like had so many kids. It was hard to like bring us places, but we didn't really go watch him. But we were used to him going to tournaments. And I remember the first time we started really playing with him on the court was like around third grade. And I remember like being out there with my dad shooting around, and I just thought that was the best thing. And I remember the first day that I learned how to dribble the ball between my legs. I thought it was like I was big. I was a star.
Right.
Yeah, and we grew up like my brothers and I would play, and I was older than my sisters, so it was kind of me and my brothers that would grow up together playing and play with my dad and shoot around.
And then when you got to, middle school and high school, it sounds like just it was a part of your life from a very early age, and it sounded like that was one of the few things to do up there. So did it grow, like your love for it, did it grow? And when did the Lady Grizz kind of come into your mind that you could play for them?
So, I mean, because it's a big part of the culture and there's cultural, a collective regard for it around the area, I'm just used to it. It was normal life. So it's hard to imagine like not having basketball around me everywhere. People dressed basketball shorts and athletic gear, like even when it's cold, people around like walking around in that. Just like having my dad play it. Since we grew up right next to the court, we would hear balls bouncing on the court like in the middle of the night. People were always on the court, and that drove my mom crazy. So I've always been surrounded by it. It's a huge love for the community. It's brought the community together. It gave our family and me a connection to the community through basketball. That's kind of how I related for the majority of my life growing up, is through basketball, through sports. And I joined the basketball team in East Glacier the soonest I could. I think it was 6th grade. I played on a boys in high school, which was normal, why not? And so, yeah, it was just always a part of life. And I don't remember having the Lady Grizz stuff kind of come in until I started going to the camp. And
Yeah.
I heard about Malia, but I was young and I was kind of in my own thing. So she was kind of like I heard about her. People talked about her around here, but it didn't really like sink in for a while because I was young and my own self for a while. So then when I went to the camps and it all kind of started coming together, and I was like, oh, I think I want to do this. I want to do this.
Well, and for people that are on here that don't know, Malia is from Browning as well. So she was 6 years older than you?
Somewhat.
So the time frame between you arriving to play and her, it was about 6 years, and she was the first one, Native American to play for the Lady Grizz. So back then, it was interesting because we didn't have AAU, and nowadays, like, everybody does AAU, and they get them going in 3rd grade. And to me, I feel like the impact that your community had, because that's all that they did, that was like your AAU. And then we went to camps, that's we didn't travel on AAU. We didn't have that aspect for people to see us or the need to do it year round. But so coming to those camps, by 6 years, and Malia did you ever see her at any of the camps, or was she gone by then?
I'm trying to think. She was gone by then. I'm trying to think if she came back to the camps and like helped out when she was playing. I don't remember. But yeah, the camps were big because that's when you got exposure to coaches. That's when you met a bunch of girls from around the state or out of state, you know, and kind of expanded yourself.
Mm-hmm.
They were a little bit scary, you know, but maybe other people didn't think so.
Yeah. It's just interesting the culture of basketball and where it started up in Browning, but also just further back. You know, that's 19. What year was that? What year were you in coming to camps? Like 94?
95, 96.
Yeah, which isn't that long ago. And to have the exposure, just you had to go to camps if you really wanted anybody to see you. Mm-hmm. So, well, going to those camps, so that's when you kind of realize that, you know, I could maybe play. Did you always did you go to the Bobcat camps? Did you go somewhere, any other camps in Montana, or were you really locked into the Lady Grizz?
I went to Northern's camp. I don't think I went to a Bose camp. I think those were two camps. I kind of was partial to the Lady Grizz right away because I knew they were the best. You know, I knew I was, if I was going to go for it, I was going to go for the best, Linda.
Right.
And,
and back then, I mean, the teams that were playing before us, talk about trailblazers and these women that, I mean, Montana basketball wasn't that popular. Mm-hmm. And by the time you arrived, I mean, it was full blown. I mean, it was the popularity level. You came into something special, and the players before that. So, do you remember anybody, like when you started thinking that you could play there and go into the camps? Was there anyone that you started following out of the players that you liked watching, or reasons why?
I don't think I watched the games. To be honest, I don't. You know, there's a funny story about like Shannon going to recruit Leanne, and her asking like, "Hey, Leanne, so do you like watching the games?" Leanne's like, "No, I just turned the channel." You know, and I didn't really watch the games either. I didn't really that much. I just had it in my head like I wanted to do that, but I wasn't keeping very close tabs on.
And you got everyone on here. Leanne is another basketball player that came. Was she my senior year? You played with her for 4 years? She was another
2 years, yeah.
Yeah, another Native American that was recruited by Rob, came after you. So that's, I mean, it was pretty neat. I got to play with Malia and you and Leanne. So, but yeah, that's those small towns though. It's ran by just the culture of playing it, not really back then watching it.
Yeah.
I remember listening on the radio. That's when I started hearing names. So it was on a radio. So back in the day. Well, so let's chat. So Browning, Montana, super small. Traffic light? No traffic light. Is there a traffic light?
There might have been one traffic light in Browning. Since there's been we have two now.
We have some growth.
That's major.
So share with people, talk about coming from a town that then had one traffic light and a huge culture of loving basketball, and that's what you did. And you had brothers that you played with, and your dad, and it was just something that brought you guys together, and what that felt like leaving that and coming to Missoula, which had a completely different community around the Lady Grizz. So what was that like?
I mean, in a lot of ways, it was similar in the way that it was so regarded, popular, and there was a lot of energy, enthusiasm, love for it. So in that way, it did feel very similar because it was like the huge crowds, being kind of known in the community for playing for the team, and then go to Missoula and it's the same thing that way.
Mm-hmm.
I think in the way of, it was kind of a shock. I was a little shell shocked for about like 4 years. um,
That's your whole time.
only, I might have been a little younger, last day of my senior.
Oh my gosh.
But it was really hard to go from a tiny, tiny town to Missoula. There was a little bit of a transition in there because I went to Browning High School, which was bigger, and then from there to Missoula. But I remember the town itself, like, and like I could not find my way around. I mean, I'm really bad at directions. Okay, like that's a thing. But like I remember trying to find the Walmart. If you know Missoula, it's like on the one end of Missoula, and I ended up in East Missoula, and that was just how bad I was. So Missoula seemed really big.
Missoula, for everyone, there's East Missoula, which pretty much you're just headed towards Bozeman. Like it's far away from, but it's not too far away from the university. I mean, I get it.
Yeah. Thanks for that.
Hey, you found your way home. That's good.
I made it. So yeah, I mean, it was shocking. The culture was much different, and the amount of people was a lot different, and it was a very, very hard adjustment for me. And I mean, I had a great roommate. Cheryl was like phenomenal. Great. I loved Cheryl. She was the best. I couldn't have asked for better. She was super like understanding of how strange I was. It was like, I look back, I kept glass bottles under the bed to recycle, like many, many bags. And I'm sure Cheryl remembers this because sometimes she'd be trying to sleep and I'd be like clinking the glass bottles, trying to take them out to go like home to recycle them.
Well, and Cheryl is another one from the small town.
Yeah.
Turner. So we have two small
yeah.
players.
Yeah.
Waking her up with
That was
bottles.
cool. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, oh, she said, yes, you did, Sim.
I knew she remembered. Sorry, Cheryl. Never formally apologized for that.
We are sorry, Cheryl. This is great that we're getting this out. Well, so 4 years it took you to get comfortable. What think, like, let's talk about, yeah, you were trying to get comfortable, but what about playing for Rob? Like, what adjustments from your coach, who was very successful, did coming and playing for Rob? And I mean, you went to the camp, so you saw him, but he's completely different at camps than he is playing. So what was the impact of him in those 4 years?
I mean, from the very beginning, I felt really comfortable around Rob. Like he's a really cool guy, and he's really comfortable to be around. And so even when I was like in high school, feeling really unsure of myself at that age, and he would come to watch the games, some of my high school games, and I felt like, and he would talk to us afterwards, and I felt really comfortable right away with him. He would just kind of exude that like energy from him, and I mean, I will say that I played some of the worst games of my high school career in front of him. I mean, they were terrible. So nervous.
I don't think you're the only one that played badly in front of Robin Selvig. when he was watching you in high school, for sure.
So being able to see beyond that is great, you know. And yeah, and we talked to him afterwards. So from the very beginning, I felt really comfortable. I really I liked him as a person. Um, and then coming in, you know, I already had that kind of behind me, and seeing him at the camps and talking to him on the phone, I think. So coming in, and my recruiting trip with you, I mean, if that didn't scare me off, nothing would.
I don't know how anybody came when I was their host, but I'm glad you did. I don't even know why Rob even asked me to host anyone.
But you did.
But I did. I conquered it.
Yeah.
So I am so glad that you continued and came after me being your host.
I don't know what it is. So yeah, and from the very, I don't know, I always liked Rob, and he was always good to me. And I always felt safe and comfortable, and I mean, I was scared out of my mind going to Missoula, but at least it was like a comfort factor in there.
Well, yeah, and I don't, people joining us, some of you maybe are from out of state or not from Montana, but we're talking about Robin Selvig, and he was the head coach for the Lady Grizz for 38 years. And one of his really spectacular benefits of him was that he was the ability to completely make sure that your potential was reached. And he did it by getting to know you off the court, and he did it by recruiting these athletes that back when basketball first started, they would have been overlooked. So that's who we're talking about, is Robin Selvig, and Sim and I both got to play with him. So, and he was a really special coach, and that was one thing that he was really good at, was he would scare you during games, but you wanted to do everything you could to win for him. So do you remember anything within those 4 years of him? And I know for me, I do remember a couple things that I realized he just kind of pushed me further than I could go. And he got the best out of me. Was there an aspect of during those 4 years that you kind of shifted to reach your potential that you didn't even think you could?
I think every day, like staying and not like, it was really uncomfortable for me coming from a reservation, and I wanted to leave a lot. And one of the gifts that I got talking to the other women that day for the interview for the house that Rob built, was that I found out they all felt the same. And so I was, wow, so it was normal as a native coming off the reservation to feel super out of place, to feel uncomfortable, to feel like you wanted to give up, you wanted to come home, you wanted to come back to what was familiar. And I think, you know, in some way that's just an aspect of being human. Like, I think people don't like to leave their comfort zones. But in that way, it was similar for all of us. And so it was cool to hear that it was not just me. It was normalized my experience a little bit. And so I think just staying there was a big thing in it. And as far as Rob goes, like, I thought about this a lot before this call, and like what he meant to me and what gifts he brought to me. And I think overall he just really touched my heart, like in a really big way. And he played a lot of roles for me and all the women on the team. He was a father. We were away from home. You know, he felt like a dad sometimes, a mentor, a coach, a friend. Like, he plays all these roles. He played all those roles so well. And it really touched me. Like, I felt comfortable. I felt safe. I felt seen. There were times when I felt really bad because there were a couple games. I remember 2 times he called me into his office to talk to him. And one of the times I felt really bad because I had barely played. And I came in his office and he called me in, and I'm like, oh God, he's going to talk to me about this. Oh God. And so, you know, I'm like 20s,
oh, yeah.
19, and I'm like, oh God, this is so embarrassing. And so I go into his office And he sat me down. He's like, I I realized after the game that I never put you in, and I'm so sorry. And I overlooked it, and it's my fault, and I'm really, really sorry if that made you feel bad. And I was just like, I was so touched by that because he showed so much integrity and so much accountability as a coach. And I think that just lays such a foundation for safety to play for and to play in that container that he created for us. Um, and as women, somebody who can be sensitive to all the emotional waves that come as
Cool.
it's like that's like a full-time job to be tuned into that. And he was I felt like he was in tune, like he knew when I felt bad and he would address that, and so I felt seen. And another time he called me in and he said, and both of these times I was feeling really, really down, like should I even be playing, like just really and he called me in the second time and he's like, so I reviewed the game tape and I was really on you during that game for that mistake. And I figured out it wasn't you. It wasn't your mistake.
Oh,
That, it was Linda. No, just kidding. I'm just kidding.
no, that's never been verbalized ever.
No, it wasn't you.
False. False.
But he said it wasn't you, and I realized that later, and I'm so sorry. And it's just like those moments were so important to me because it kept me going, and it kept me feeling like, okay, I can do this. Like he understands what he did. He can apologize. He can own up, and it really kept me in the game.
But that's, yeah, it's interesting because he was that Robin, as a coach, it was never, those games were important, but he did so much work behind the scenes to make you want and know that you're important. Right. So many, and look, I mean, him just saying I'm sorry, who does that?
Yeah.
As a coach? I mean, that to me is just, and it's important for girls looking, if they're going to play in college, like look for those attributes, because it's not just about the wins, it's how you're treated. And he was so just incredible and it was every single girl. It was just, that story is pretty impressive, but it also just speaks a lot on what he did and behind the scenes to get us to that level to where we could play those big games. So
yeah, I felt like, so I love good metaphor and I love the house that Rob built, right? So I've been thinking about this, and I know it's a metaphor because I consulted my English brother and English professor at the U of M. I was like, is this an analogy or a metaphor?
Okay, good back work. Good.
I hope I just messed that up. But I was thinking about like the house that he built, like what it was like to be in that house. And it was strong and it was sturdy. And like, by the time I got there, the momentum, the house was fully built. Like you said, by the time I got there, I could just move right in. There was no building. It was already there. The momentum was there. And it was like a really loving house. Like it was just comfortable, as comfortable as it could be at that point in my life as an early 20s woman out of her element. It was still like a safe house. And it had its core values straight, because I always remember them saying like, your schoolwork, your academics is more important than you playing in this game. If you don't have your schoolwork done, you're not going to play. And they kept very close tabs on our work and our grades. And to me, that was just like, it gave us the message that we as human beings and what we were creating in the world for ourselves was more important than the game we were going to play. And so that helped, like it kept things in perspective, and it helped feel safe because I felt like I was being held in this greater value system where they cared more about who I eventually am in the world and my job and how I'm, creating that, as opposed to like this game this weekend. So that was really nice.
Yeah. And that's something that I took out of that too. And putting it on the house that Rob built, it's so many things that built it from the ground. And that's one of the most important things that kept the program going for so long with, you know, so much success. I like you referencing that. I think that's really important.
The other thing about the house
Yeah.
was that it was a lot of fun. You know, it was a lot of fun. Like, he had a great sense of humor. I think he approached things with, like, I was laughing all the time around him. And that's one of the things I love about him is, like, his sense of humor. Like, he would
Yeah.
do dry jokes and they were funny. And so the house had, like, a piano and Backstreet Boys and, like, you know, all these.
Yes.
And
It was just, oh yeah, I agree.
it was a great looking family in the house, if I do say so myself. Like, you know, one of the funny things that I would always hear people say is, like, the women, like, on Missoula's team are the best looking team in Big Sky Conference, you know, and I would hear that all the time. And so I want to say, I agree. Well, don't you, Linda?
Oh, well, I mean, the redhead, the really, I don't know. I mean, the others, I fully, yes, concur. There was really, I had some really great looking teammates, assistant coaches. Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree.
Great. Great.
I like it. I think that's a great fact. I probably will write that down on cloudy days.
So, and the other thing you mentioned, and I think that's true, is that because he saw something in me as a player, and he believed in me. Like, I wanted to be that. I wanted to bring that forward and call that out from myself, because he saw it. I wanted to be that because he believed in me. I wanted to work my ass off for him. You know, it was like, that was kind of like one of the things I wanted to give back to him for him providing so much for me.
Yeah, and it is pretty spectacular because I feel like girls playing sports now, I wonder how often that happens for them at a young age, and how often that is happening now in college, is where you're really truly playing for your coach and it's not, some other reason, and what those coaches are doing to help bring that forward. That's the impact he left, because I know Robin, that's who we're talking about. Robin Selvig, the coach of Lady Grizz, that's what he did really well. And it was at least everybody I played with, I could say felt that same way. And you can't do that without putting in the work for him on his end, because you didn't want to let him down.
Yeah. Yeah. And also he had such a charisma. Like, he special in that way. He had both the strength and the heart that created, like, this momentum where people wanted to be a part of it. Like, things don't mean anything without the people in them and behind them, and that's what makes the meaning. And he had a way of making things really meaningful, and he had a way of, like, wanting people just wanted to be playing for him, around him. It was really special. Like, he gained such a momentum because of who he is. It's not because he had good players or, like, it's because of who he it gained this huge momentum years, and it kind of became a thing in itself. But it's because of him and his essence and what he drew out in people around him, because he was so special. He is so special.
Yeah, 100%. And I like that. I like this tie-in because you've been talking about Robin Selvig. So now I want to talk more about you. Because I want to know, and everybody else who has somebody that impacted them, someone on this that's watching, at some point, I feel like in people's lives, they have a person that impacts them, that shifts them or gets them focused on where they should be or what they should be doing. have you, or do you feel that you have impacted, like Leanne came after you, and she was another Native American that played. So now we have Malia, who played before you, 92, 96. You played 98, right? 98 to 2001. Is that right? And then Leanne, when did Leanne came in? 99?
I think so. I think it was 99.
Yeah. So, I mean, we, Malia and then you. So I feel like that you coming after her and doing the same thing and really making the program important to you, and Rob doing that to you. How was the interaction between you and Leanne when she showed up?
Yeah, it was great. There was something very familiar about her. She was on a reservation, and it was a different reservation across the state. There was just something clicked immediately with us, and it helped me to feel more comfortable in my surroundings, and it normalized me completely. So it's like, oh, okay, whew, exhale. Like, here's another person who totally gets what I'm going through, and we can joke about the same exact things. And there was just something that immediately was kind of magnetic and clicked right away, and it helped me a lot. It helped me a lot. And to answer your other question, I do think I had a big impact on people. The way I see it is like Malia was the first, right? And she impacted me huge, because there's something about not hearing somebody talk about something, but seeing somebody do something that really like is inherently influential. It's like there's a possibility, and then you see it in action, and then it's almost probability that comes out of that, because it's like, wow, okay, they did it, now I can do it. And them doing it and succeeding is almost proof that you can too. So she was huge, huge, huge. And so how I see it for her is like she was the original pioneer. She was like forming the trail. There was no trail when she went.
No.
It was like bushwhacking through the Amazon jungle. That was her thing. And then I come behind her, and I have like a little trail I can see, oh, she went this way, and so then the more and more people that go, the bigger the trail is formed. And then eventually it's like a paved road, but for the first couple people, it is more challenging. And I do think you have to, not to take away how challenging it is for everyone to do this, but I do think that carving the path takes a little bit more energy to be one of the first people to like make the trail,
Yeah, I don't know what that feels like, but I do know that I watched Malia when I was in high school, and just watching the House That Rob Built film after, for me, that somebody I was right there. Like, I played with Malia, I played with you, and I played with Leanne. And it's just neat that I got out of that film, that you guys are impacting people even now, because it impacted me, and that's something that I really think what makes that film so special, and to have you guys involved with that, because there's stories that weren't told. That's one of the biggest things I got out of it, and it's just a lot of respect for you guys.
Thank you.
So, not a crier, but it's a big deal. You guys are incredible human beings. You're incredible to Malia just starting it, and you and Leanne and everybody else that came after you guys. I still, from watching that film, it's going to impact people even more than it already has. And you guys did it. You went through it. You struggled, which everybody does struggle. So it's impressive. I'm just honored to hear your story and hear your side of it, and to know you and how much impact that you had, and to know Malia and Leanne. So you guys have done a lot for the program, and it's it's pretty neat
Thank
and
you.
important. So yeah. Um, After all of that, people that are joining us, we're talking about the house that Rob built, but also the importance of the trailblazers and pioneers in the sport, not only just women's basketball, but just sports in general. If you have a daughter or a son that's playing, they probably are seeing somebody on the TV right now that's motivating them to keep going. And Simran Schilt is one of those for the Lady Grizz. So she played for him, and we were just chatting with her about being a pioneer and a trailblazer, as one of the first Native American women to play for the Lady Grizz and what that impact meant. And also her playing for legendary and much unknown Robin Selvig, which a lot of people in Montana, you say Robin Selvig and they know, but we're finding out that he's an unknown. He's this unknown, incredible coach. So, and we got to play for him. But so Sim, we'll probably close up here pretty soon, but I would love for you to tell everybody here, but also just to hear it. These girls that are playing sports now that are young, what would you give them for advice on sticking with it and things that you got out of playing basketball, how it impacted you even now?
I would say as far as the impact goes, what I got most out of it was being able to know myself in a different way than I ever would have had I not played basketball, sports, any sport.
Mm-hmm.
Like basketball at that level also brought it out in a whole different way. Because I think people are pretty pleasure-seeking beings. I think we want to run towards what is like joyful expansion for us, and so we don't necessarily bring certain qualities out of ourselves if we don't have to, unless it's uncomfortable or unless the challenges come up where we have to dig deep. And I think that sports makes you dig deep in a lot of ways. It makes you push past barriers that you wouldn't normally push past in yourself, physically, mentally, emotionally. And it makes you do it over and over and over again. So in doing that, you get to experience parts of yourself that you wouldn't normally experience. I think that's a huge gift. I got to experience strength and resiliency and commitment at a very young age. When most people are worried about like the next party they're going to that weekend, we were very, very committed to what we were doing. And though at the time it didn't feel like gifts sometimes, and I look back now and I'm like, that shaped who I am.
Mm-hmm.
You know, who I am today. And I like myself a lot better because of those qualities that I was able to call forward out of myself and express as self-expression. And I do think that I think sports allows you to express different parts of yourself. Like I was very, very shy in school and college. When I got on the court, I could I'm a star, all these things could come out where I could shine in ways and I could express myself in ways that I didn't express myself any other time. And to me, that was, and also being in a sport, the interpersonal thing, like being on a team, being a part of something that's bigger than yourself, being able to contribute and give back to a bigger thing, your community, your teammates, your coaches. That always felt really fulfilling. And I would just tell, young women who want to be in sports, you're going to be a better person for being in sports. Hands down, that's one of the things that makes you the person I am today. And the gifts far outweigh the other stuff. And even though it doesn't feel like gifts in the moment, those things never feel like gifts in the moment. But
no,
later,
no.
later you look back and you're like, I'm so glad I did that. And um, I just think that if you have that longing in your heart to be a part of a team, that you need to go for it, because you'll never ever regret trying for it or going for it or being part of that. But you may regret, if you have that longing or you have that feeling that you want to play, you may regret not playing.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Yeah. It's making sure that you get out of your comfort zone, and sports does that. If you really go all in, it does that almost every single day. It's such a huge component, and it builds, like, I couldn't imagine who I would be if I hadn't gone through that.
I don't want to know. I don't know what
No,
I would be like without it.
no, let's not even think. It's significant. It's, and you go through it, and that's something that I realize playing is you've played sports for so long, and in life you get, a job, or you go through a hard time with a friend or something, but there's really always a time that you can look back and pull from an experience playing sports.
Yeah.
There's always a time. And to have that kind of toolbox for these young girls, and playing anything, that it improves the rest of your life.
You better
And
believe I used that toolbox when I was pregnant with twins. You better believe. I was like, my belly's like by the day, and I'm so uncomfortable, and I'm just like, it's the end of my pregnancy. I'm like, you know what? I can do this. I am doing this.
see, all the time. There's never not. And you have twins, and how old, your oldest is?
8 and
Okay.
old, and twins, and I'm a single mom, and so I can pull from that every single day.
Yeah, you're using this. I mean, you might as well write a book.
I can test my limits every day, and I know I can because I played for the Lady Grizz. So.
Right. Thank you, Rob. Thank you, the Lady Grizz. Thanks to all the ones that came before you, because
Yeah.
it's you got it for the rest of your life.
Yeah, I mean, come on, it was just it's COVID. We can use that.
Oh
those
yeah.
tools now.
It's a toolbox that will never go away.
No, truly, truly.
And our sports careers, how long ago did we end those? And we're still using it. So it's one of the best things. So I hope if there's parents listening, that you keep those kids pushing forward. It's going to be awesome for them. And we're probably going to end pretty soon. But if anybody has questions, we're here talking with Cimarron Schilt. We're talking about women basketball and the Pioneers and Trailblazers. And then we're talking about The House That Rob Built, which is a movie about incredible coach named Robin Selvig, who coached for the Lady Grizz for 38 years. And the movie, The House That Rob Built movie, you can go to housethatrobbuiltmovie.com. It's actually coming out digitally on February 23rd. So you can get it DVD, you can pre-order now. And so we're celebrating those that came before us. Sim, I want to thank you, even though you came after me. You're still amazing and impacting me. And I want to thank all the ones that came before me, because I learned from those greats, and they're wonderful people, and they really accomplished a lot before we even got there. Like, really, we just moved in. We didn't have to do much. So, and you have your 4 little kiddos, you're living in Browning, and you're surviving COVID. I hope everybody else is too.
Yeah. Yeah. But your definition of surviving is, but yes,
Oh.
we are.
Well, we have our toolkit, so we're doing better than a lot of people.
Yeah. Like, it was -20 here last night, so it's crazy.
Yes, we're getting that. In Missoula, I think we have negatives coming. So I think we'll be okay, I hope. But everybody, anybody have any questions before we say so long? And type them in and I can ask them. But Sim, you have anything else? We've covered a lot. I love that you got to spend some time with me on our second episode. It was you're just a treasure.
Thank you. I think I've said it all. I think
Yeah.
I'm emptied.
Yes, that's what we need. Well, enjoy your tea, and everybody go check out the house that Rob built movie.com. Like us on Instagram if you haven't, on Facebook, on Twitter. Join in the fun. Share with us. Get the word out about Rob and this incredible program that Cimarron helped create. So thank you, Cimarron.
Thank you.
Oh, wait, we got a question. Who would win in a game of one-on-one between the two of us?
Like that now.
Like now or like then?
And how many points are we going to? And is it full court? I need to know the details.
There's more details. Currently, right now, I don't know who asked the question, but I could make it from about the block to the other block once. And Sim would out rebound me, so she'll probably win. So, oh, now, yeah, Sim would win because if there was an oxygen tank, maybe. Yeah. So, good question. Thanks, Cherie. Crickets, Megan. Yeah. So, well, Sam, you're amazing. Thank you for spending time with me on this Wednesday.
Yeah.
And we'll chat some more later, hopefully. But thanks everyone for joining, and have a great rest of your week and stay safe. See you guys.